Good day, economic students. Today I would like to go through the discussion of the Keynesian expenditure model. It's chapter 9 in your textbook. Okay, so let's go into this chapter in detail. Now this chapter summarizes the views of John Maynard Keynes, an economist, long ago, and it shows you how people spend in the economy and how that spending can create economic growth. So that is the essence behind this chapter, is just understanding that people spend money in the economy, whether it's people, it's companies, government, foreign sector, everything is spending in the economy, and then this spending creates income for someone else. Let's start with a simple example. So if I go out tonight and I go to buy some food with my money, I spend 200 Rand on food. That money is then taken by, let's say I buy a pizza, that money is then taken by the pizza owner, which uses that money as his income, which he goes out and spends again in the economy. So can you see the 200 Rand that I spent in the economy is income for someone else that they will also then go and spend. That's how we will look at tonight and show you how a certain amount of spending can create a certain amount of income in the economy. So we call it autonomous spending, and that's the spending part, and then we multiply it with a multiplier, and then with that we get a value we call equilibrium income, and that's the income being spent in the economy, or the income being generated in the economy given we spent a certain amount of money. Okay, so from that, let's look at the various components in this model. So the people that spend money. Firstly, C, which is consumption expenditure by households. I, which is investments, capital formation. Then G, which is government spending, and then the foreign sector to complete your model. Okay, we'll focus on C and I, and then go to G, and then do the full sector model. Okay. So let's start with C. This is the most important one, and the one that I will focus on the most for now, because this one can change a lot. Okay. C, consumption spending by households. Okay. So let's look at the relationship. If you want to consume goods, what do you need? You need income. You need money. So if you want to buy something, you need money. So if I earn income, I can consume goods. Okay, so that's an obvious relationship. If I earn more income, I can consume more goods. Okay, so that is a positive relationship between income and consumption. So if you earn income, you can either spend that money or you can save it. Okay, so that's another part. So either you spend your money or you save it. So we can write our income as this. Our income is equal to consumption plus savings. So a certain section of your income will be spent and a certain section will be saved. Keynes had a couple of laws. He said when your income increases, you consume more and you save more. So if I say to you, listen, I give you a salary increase of 3,000 Rand, then you will consume some of that and spend some of that, or save some of that. So you'll consume and save some of that 30,000 Rand. So both will increase. C will never increase by as much as Y, so you will never spend all your money, you will save some of it. And we look at this numerical example. If your income increases by 100 Rand, you will say, let's say, spend 80 Rand and save 20 Rand. Okay. So I'm not going to worry on this too much. These graphs I've explained in class. You can just see the positive relationship between income and consumption. Okay. This I've already said. Okay, here's the important part. So let me tell you this. If I say to you, your income increases with 50 Rand, and I ask you, what will you do with that 50 Rand? Or let's say 50,000 Rand. How much of that will you spend? How much will you save? Now everybody has different opinions here, but let's take the example in the textbook. If you spend 50 Rand, or if you get 50 Rand extra income, you will consume 40 Rand and save 10 Rand. So your marginal propensity to consume, or like I like to call it, the willingness to consume, is 80%. For every 1 Rand extra you earn, you will spend 80%, that's 80 cents of that 1 Rand. And how much will you save of that 1 Rand? 20 cents, okay? So that is 20%. So you can say, okay, what's 80% of 50? That's 40 Rand. And what's 20% of 50? That's 10 Rand. So together they should equal the 50. And together your marginal propensity to consume and your marginal propensity to save should be equal to 100. 80 plus 20 is 100. That's always true. Okay, so what's your willingness to consume and your willingness to save? These are the concepts I want you to understand. Okay, so for every R1 you receive, you will spend 80% and save 20%. Okay, that's the first important thing to realize, is what is willingness to save, willingness to spend. Okay, the MPC and the MPS. Then we go into two different concepts in consumption, planned and autonomous consumption. Okay, now let me do the example that I did in class. I told you John had no work. Okay, John was let go from his work. He wakes up in the morning, and I'm asking you a question: is he still consuming? Yes, he is. Why? Because he's still eating, he's still wearing clothes, so he's still consuming products. Is he earning any income at that time when he's jobless? No, he's not. So he doesn't earn any income, but he's still consuming. And that we call autonomous consumption. Autonomous consumption is consumption that's independent of income. The word autonomous in this chapter means independent of income. So whenever I say autonomous, that is the independent of income spending. Okay. So John spends 100 Rand, but he doesn't earn any income. Okay, that's the autonomous section. But now, let's say he goes and he finds a job which pays 1,000 Rand. So now his salary has increased from 0, because he was jobless, to 1,000. How much of that 1,000 will he spend and how much will he save? Okay, let's take the 80-20% figures that we used. Okay, so this is his autonomous consumption, which was 100. That's the section before he earns any income. He will always spend this. And then his MPC of 0.8, so he will spend 80% of every R1 extra he earns. He earns 1,000 Rand extra. So how much will he spend? 800 Rand. He will spend from his income or his salary, but he will also spend 100 Rand from his autonomous part, which is always fixed, given he needs to spend that to survive, if you want to think about it like that. Okay, so we will spend 100 plus the 800, so John will spend 900. And I want you to understand that this is not micro study, so we're not focusing on John, we're actually focusing on an entire economy. We're doing this on a macroeconomic scale. But just for simplicity's sake, I try to explain it in a practical example that will help the students understand. But please study it from a macro level. So just replace the word John with an economy. Okay, so that's not just one person, it's the entire economy, spending and consumption. So consumer will spend 80% of an increase in YD. So it's here you can see the formula, 100 plus 8 times 1,000 gives you the 900. So John's new consumption is of 900. Okay. So very important to understand. And if you want to understand a graph, you can. Remember what we do in a graph? We just plot two variables. Firstly, the consumption, and then the income. Okay? We see the relationship between the two. Now, what do? We just draw a line here. We say, okay, it starts off at 100 because it doesn't start over 0. He earns a 0 income, but he consumes 100. And then as he earns income, his consumption increases. Can you see? As he earns more income, his consumption increases, and thus we draw the straight line which represents our consumer curve. Okay. And how does it relate to savings? You can even study this, but it's not too important. Marginal propensity to save. You can look at it like this. MPS is 0.2, and that is that. Okay. Because remember the MPC, which is our willingness to consume, was 0.8, but now the MPS is 0.2. So save 20% of any increase in income. If his income increases by 1,000, he will save 20% of 1,000 is 200. Okay, so he will save 200, and his savings should be equal to 100. Why is it only 100? Remember, because he had autonomous consumption. Where do you think does he get this money? He gets it from his savings account, so he minuses his savings. This is at a moment where he has no jobs, meaning his income is 0. But as soon as his income increases and he finds a job, his savings increases to 100, because he first needs to pay back this debt, and then he can start to save again. And we call that desk savings. This -1 is a desk savings rate. Okay? And then where's equilibrium? There's equilibrium on this point. Okay, again, remember what is consumed, 900, and what is spent, or what is getting in, 1,000. So you get 1,000 income, but you only spent 900. And there you can see it. Okay, just the equations, these are very important to understand. Let's take the first one, the consumption equation, which is the most important one. What is happening here? C is equal to A plus BYD. What is A? A is your autonomous consumption. That's the 100 Rand that John needs to spend without any income. B, that's the MPC, which is your willingness to save. That's normally between 0 and 1, that figure. And then YD is your income. So we can, if we take our previous example numerical values, we can put in 100 Rand plus 0.8 YD. Okay. Let's do 10 minutes. Okay, so you take 100 plus 0.8 YD. So you can work out what his new consumption level is given a certain level of income. So if his income increases from 0 to 100, then you can take that value and work out his new consumption level. Okay, the savings diagram you don't have to worry about. Okay, a couple of points before I leave you. Investments. What's important in investments? Okay, part 2. When we add investments, we need to look at one key relationship. That key relationship is the relationship between interest rates and investments. I'm going to just do an example of you. Let's take a farmer. A farmer has a choice. Let's say a farmer has 50,000 Rand he can invest. Either he can go and buy machineries for his farm, or he can go and put that money in the bank. Okay? So that's his two choices. Let's say the interest rates are very low. Where will he put the money? He will put the money in machineries, so he will invest the money in machineries. Okay? So as the interest rates decrease, investments increase. But if interest rates are high, you will rather put his money in a bank and let it earn interest and reduce his investment. So there's a negative relationship between investment and interest rates. Very important. So if your interest rates increase, investments will decrease. We can show that from a figure. Let me just show you the figure. Here's the figure. You can see the negative relationship. As the interest rates decrease, our investments increase. If you go from 10 to 5, your investments, which is on this line, go from 2,000 to 4,500. Thus, you can see the negative slope, so it's a negative relationship. Okay. And you don't have to worry about this too much. As I said in class, I'm just trying to recap on the important work. It's important for your test. Remember, this is for Management Economics free, now at a course. Okay? So, and also investment is autonomous. So, let's look at it like this. Okay, so remember our previous example where our consumption was 100 before earning any income. Then our investment is on 50. Now we just add another layer of investment, which goes to 250. And even if you don't earn any income, you spend 100 and you add a 150, so you actually spent 250 in the economy. Okay. But again, there's no graphs in the exam for Management Economics free, so don't stress, it's mostly on calculations, which is fairly simple. Please go on your link and check that calculation question that I uploaded. Okay. Lastly, let me just talk about a multiplier before I go. Okay. So the multiplier is very important. It's the thing that I mentioned in the beginning, where I told you that if I spend money, it creates income for someone else. But a multiplier tells me how much income will my spending generate. So if I go and spend 100 Rand tonight on food, how much income will that generate for anyone else? So how many times will my 100 Rand circulate in the economy? That is a multiplier. We have a set formula for that multiplier. You say 1 over 1 minus the MPC. Okay, so that is the formula for it. Let me just go to the formula for you. There's the formula. So 1 over 1 minus MPC. And then remember to do the brackets first and then divide. So just use a numerical example to calculate that for you. Here's our example of 0.8 MPC, and you get a multiplier of 5. Okay, because it's 1 over 1 minus 0.8 gives you 1 divided by 0.2 is 5. So if I spend 100 Rand, it it will multiply 5 times in the economy. So it will go through 5 hands of income before it is used up. How can it be used up? Because if I spend 100 Rand tonight, then the pizza owner will take the 100 Rand, but he will save maybe 30 Rand of that. So the NPC determines how much this multiplier is, how much my money is being multiplied in the economy. And that's exactly what we tried to calculate in the end of this example. We have calculated our autonomous AD, which is our autonomous spending, the 250, meaning that is the money is being spent in the economy. We have calculated our multiplier, and now we can calculate our YE, which is equilibrium income, which is just the amount of income that can be generated if you spend money in the economy. Okay, so that is the very important formula to understand. And for now, that is all I want to do in this video. So please go and revise this video, see if you understand these concepts. It's very important. I skipped through a lot of things, but the fact of the matter is, if you understand this video, then studying the chapter on your own should be easier. Again, these videos are not replacements for any lectures or any studying material. It's just for you to better understand the concepts. If you just study from the videos, you might not get full marks or half your marks on the test. So please make sure you use the videos in coordination with your study material. Okay, thank you very much. Part 3 I'll explain in the next video. Have a great day. Good day, management economics students. So after you've done the first and second sector model, we're going to do part 3 now of chapter 9, where we're going to introduce you to the government. Just to recap, let's think about what we've done so far. So I've introduced you to the concept of spending that creates income for the economy. As I said, if a pizza owner or a guy goes out tonight and buys a pizza, the pizza owner gets money, and that pizza owner will use that money to buy something else, which will create income for someone else. So the amount of money we spend in the economy generates more income for people than what we spend. Okay, so that's the concept we're dealing with in macroeconomic terms. And what we did in the first section is we looked at 2 components that spend: consumption expenditure by households, which is C, and that's normally the biggest part of your GDP, and then you have investment, which is investment spending on products. Okay, so it's important now to add a government, because you cannot run an economy without a government, and they also spend money. If you look at a government, they spend money in the economy, thus they should be included in this expenditure model. Okay, so let's look at the government and how they will change our model. Remember, people spend money in the economy, and that amount we multiply with a multiplier, and that is the amount of income that's being generated via spending. Okay, so now we add another component, and we go to a 3 sector model, which is C plus I plus G, which is the government. Okay, the government can influence the economy in a couple of ways. Firstly, they will spend money in the economy, which we call government spending, and secondly, they can tax the people in the economy, which is taxation. So they influence the economy in 2 ways, and these 2 will have different effects on your calculations and your expenditure and your income. So let's look at how this changes the way we looked at the question. So government spending is autonomous. That's the first thing you need to know. Is government spending is autonomous, meaning it's independent of income. So what do? We just add another layer of government spending to our model. So let's take a situation. Let me just go to the graph. Take this graph for instance. Can you understand what's going on here? Let me explain. 250, that's the amount of spending by consumers plus investments. Okay, so that's the amount of spending, autonomous spending by consumers and investors. Autonomous, why? Because even if you earn 0 income, they spend this amount of money in the economy. Now we add the government to this section, and we say government spending is 350. 350 autonomous, meaning independent of income. So given income is 0, they spend 350. So we just add another layer, or just move up from the 250 to 600. Why? Because 250 plus 350 is 600. So now our 3 sector model, which is C, I, and G, is 600 amount of spending. So the total amount of autonomous spending in this economy is 600. So that's how the government spending changes our model. We just add another layer or another line to our section or to our expenditure model. Okay, so that's the effect of G. G just increases this line to this line. So whatever the amount of government spending is, you just add it to the amount already existed in the economy, and that gives you your new total autonomous spending amount. Okay. But what's the effect of taxation? And this is the important one, because let's think about it. Let's think about a situation where I'm today I'm paying no taxes. I'm earning income, but I'm paying no taxes because there's no government. Because that was a situation without a government. There was no taxes. But suddenly a government is created, and tomorrow I pay 30% taxes on my income. Do you think going from 0 tax today to 30% taxes tomorrow will change my consumption pattern, will change my willingness to consume, my NPC? Yes, it will. Why? Because today I don't pay taxes, but tomorrow I have to pay 8,000 Rand taxes. That will obviously change my consumption pattern because I lose 8,000 Rand to the government as they are introduced. So that means that you actually use the taxes, and the taxes have an effect on your NPC, which is your willingness to consume. This reduces your NPC, and how do you do this? You take your NPC, which is P, remember, say 1 minus T, and that gives you your new NPC. And we're going to show this in the multiplier equation. So let me show you the multiplier equation. You can go through this. Okay. Here's the multiplier. Okay, I ask you in class to do this question for me, where I give you the NPC and tax rate and ask you to calculate the expenditure multiplier. Remember, the formula for the expenditure multiplier is 1 over 1 minus NPC. That was our old formula before taxes and governments. Now we just tweak that formula a little bit, and we add taxes to that formula. So the new formula will just look something like this. This is your new formula. 1 over 1 minus NPC, same as the old one, but now we say 1 minus T, okay, with this formula. So this is your new formula when you calculate your multiplier if we give you a tax rate. Very important to know is if I give you a tax rate in the economy, you need to include it in your calculation. Okay, so if I ask you for the expenditure multiplier as a question, you need to use this new formula because I'm going to give you a tax rate in the exam. Okay, so new multiplier. If you have this information, you can calculate the new multiplier with this formula, and you just replace everything in. One key rule to remember here is, remember mathematics in your school, you always do your brackets first, then your multiplication, and then you do your add and subtract, and then you divide by 1. Okay, where you take 1 divided by everything. So just follow the process in the slides on how they got to that answer. If you didn't get to 2.5, check where you maybe went wrong. Maybe you put everything in your calculator because you're lazy, but otherwise just rather work it out step by step and get to the 2.5, because I'm not going to accept different answers than a 2.5. Okay, maybe I'll give you a range to work with, but not a big range. Okay, so please make sure you get to the right answer in the practice questions so that you don't fail in the exam on these questions. Okay, so, and again, just lastly, so government spending increases by 350. What's the amount of income this generates for the economy? So the government spends 350 Rand in the economy. How much income does this generate for the economy? This generates 875 amount of income. Why? Because we take our amount of spending times the multiplier, and it gives us the amount of income generated. Again, understand the concept. I spend money tonight. That creates income for someone else, which they will also go and spend, which creates income for someone else. So this process of me spending 100 Rand is not stopped at me spending it. It actually circulates a lot of times in the economy. And that's what we want to do tonight, do in this lecture. We show you what the amount of income, or what's the amount of income given a certain amount of spending in the economy. Okay. So you can do the graphs, but the graphs just shows you, this graph summarizes everything nicely. Remember the first section we just had C, and we said 100 Rand, John will spend 100 Rand. Okay, that was our first line. Then we added investments, which we just add another 150 investments, which becomes 250 now. The 100 plus the 150 investments in the first section gives you 250 as a two-sector model, but now as we introduce a government, we just add another layer and put it as 600, and that's our C plus I plus G model. Lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce you to the foreign sector, which is the last model. Very easy. Remember the formula, C plus I plus G, which is this. C plus I plus G, but now we say plus X minus Z, that's the foreign sector. We can say it as X or Z or NX. NX just means net exports, meaning the calculation of exports minus imports have already been taken into account here. So if I give you NX equals minus 50, that means that exports minus imports have already taken place, and that is the answer for that question. Okay, so you don't have to then say exports minus imports, you just use that value. Okay. Again, it's autonomous, so we just will add another layer. So in the exam, you just have to identify what is your exports and imports. No real questions here that I would like to discuss with you on the video. You can go through all of this on your own, but again, like I said, no graphs for chapter 9 in the exam. Again, this is for Management Economics 3 2017, not anything else. Okay, so no other courses, just Management Economics. This is just a video on this section. Okay, so we just add another layer of, so you can see here, this is now a full model where we just add another layer. So you just draw another line in whenever you add another autonomous variable. Okay, so there's no change in MPC, the curve only shifts, and the multiplier remains unchanged at 2.5. Okay, so here's just another good example for you to understand. A nice summary to make. This is a one-sector model with only C, then we say C plus I, then C plus I plus G is a three-sector model, and then a full model. Here in the there's no government, so there's no tax. So here's your formula for your multiplier. Here, there's a government, so we include tax, and this is the formula for the multiplier. Okay, so that's just a nice diagram to separate everything for you. And then remember the calculations we did. Okay, so please go to the practice question on Ulink. I have loaded the practice question with its answers. Please make sure you understand that. Go through that question. Don't study the answers, because I will change everything and I can change the questions. So that question is just there for you to understand and see if you can attempt to work and do it. If you have any questions, you can come to me. But like I said, just to recap on chapter 9, it's all about the following model. Okay, we started off with consumption expenditure, which is C. Then we added investment. Then we added a two-sector model. Then we added government, which became a three-sector model, 1, 2, 3, and then we add a foreign sector. Okay, so again, the process of this is about seeing if I spend money in the economy, how much income will that generate on a macroeconomic level. Okay, and we call that the Keynesian expenditure model. Okay, this will introduce you to chapter 10. Now chapter 10 is a lot more graphical, no calculations in chapter 10, but there are some graphs, so please make sure you attend class this week and next week so we can finish off. Our last class is next week on the next week. It's the last class, so please make sure you attend all the classes now. Make sure you download all the practice questions that I put on Ulink and attempt them. I will put up the answers, and make sure you can attempt this. Again, chapter 10, just to quickly talk about it, you need to be able to draw. Okay, so please practice your drawings. Take a book, empty book, and just practice as much as you can. After a while, you start getting used to the diagrams, and then you start understanding the diagrams, and then studying becomes a lot easier, because chapter 10, you don't have to study, you just need to understand. Okay, I promise you that. So please attend classes and please watch the videos. I will post 2 more videos, one for chapter 10 and one for chapter 10 the first part, one for chapter 10 the second part, and then I might do a third video where I do some revision on basic concepts that's important for your exam. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your day, and very congratulations with all the students with their good marks for the second test. Well done, really proud of you. Thank you.